Hi everyone, this is Natraj. Welcome back to that other video. Today I am going to talk about that setting the worker node and integrating the Jenkins master through Terraform. In this video, I am going to provisioning the Jenkins master and the Jenkins worker node on AWS EC2 instance. Once the provision is completed, I am going to install the certain types of plugins. Later on that, I am integrating with the Jenkins node to the Jenkins master. The entire process is written with the Terraform. Jenkins master is acting as a primary, Jenkins slave is acting as a secondary. So each server having responsibility will be different. We can see one by one. Jenkins master, whenever you are executing any build, the build will be distributing across that your Jenkins slave. In this case, we can avoid that load on the Jenkins server. If necessary, you can executing the build on the Jenkins master itself. Coming to the slave responsibility, in the Jenkins slave server, you can associate with the project level. Whenever you're going to executing any build, the particular build process happening on the particular specific agent only. Another thing, the slave machine also supporting with the various operating systems. This depends upon the project need. You can choose with the various types of operating system. For example, the PHP-based application, Linux-based operating system is recommended. If you .NET application is a Windows-based operating system is recommended. Moving to next slide. So in this slide, we are going to see that in Terraform workflow. So when I approaching the any Terraform task, I used to write the Terraform workflow because it will be very easier to write that code very efficient manner. Initially, I am generating the SSH key pair. It will be main required actually because this particular key only I am crossing the server I am using on that. So later on that I am installing the Java versions on our Linux operating systems. At the time of recording, OpenJDK 11 version is available. The same version only I am using for that. After successfully install the Java version, I'm installing the Jenkins using yum utilities. Later on that, I install the Jenkins plugins. After installing successfully on Jenkins package, one thing we need to ensure about, by default, the Jenkins directory created under the /var lib only. That is a directory will be there. All the file will be kept there. Another thing, so by default, the Jenkins run as the 8080. In my case also, I'm using the same thing, but you have to ensure about the security group. The port should be the open. Also, the one of the main important thing is the Java version should be matched with that master and the slave. The both version will be similar. If you differ, no, definitely you will get some lot of problem will get. But in my case, I'm using the same version. Earlier, we were generating the SSH key pair, no, the same key I'm copying between the both slave node as well as the master node. So same key only I'm using for the pathless login. So that was the reason only I'm doing these things. Later on that, using the Jenkins CLI command to integrating the slave node into master. So once completed the entire activities, I'm going to test that changes whether the node's connection is everything is proper or not. That will be coming with the 7th stage. The entire Terraform code is available on my GitHub repository. If you need any further reference, please check it out my repository. Moving to the next slide. These key points need to consider when we starting installing the Jenkins server. We'll be see one by one. Initially, the admin password I'm resetting with the help of the XML start letter command because that Jenkins will be that file storing as that XML format. So that was the reason only I'm using for XML start let command to replacing that existing admin value. Later on that I'm installing the plugin for the CLI. So here I'm specific set of plugin only I'm installing based on my requirement. Here you have to manually to pause that authentication of the Jenkins, otherwise you will not able to install that plugin. Next one, I'm creating the Jenkins credential for validating that remote hosting. So this here I'm usually to provide that username of that destination as well as that private key for the server. Next one, I'm creating that node.xml file. The node.xml file will be containing that node information along with the credential informations. Yeah, later on that I'm executing that node.xml file from the slave machine. It will be generating that node server. Moving to that virtual source code. So in this code, it will be containing that Jenkins master and slave automation. So it's completely end-to-end solution. Yeah, first we will be start with main.tf file. The main.tf file is the first section is the provider. So basically I'm all that machine I'm going to create on AWS with the region under US East 1. Later I'm creating the security group. Security group I'm allowing the SSH protocol as well as that HTTP protocol. It will be globally exposed. I'm using the dynamic condition to passing that value one by one. Later on that I'm creating the keeper. Before you have to ensure about that if you see that public key and refer from that variable sections in the variable.tf file, I'm referring from that in the current existing server. So I'm using the SSH keygen command to generate that private key and public key, so that that file will be automatically taken from the Jenkins. I'm moving back to that main.tf file. Later on that I'm uploading those key to that AWS system manager. Next I move to that AWS instant resource. This is acting as that master. Basically I'm using the free tier AMA version. Then instant type I'm choosing for T2. Already I created the security group, so same security group I refer from the previous. Then I'm assigning the key name of that Jenkins. Then I'm once the server is ready, I'm creating that a record for that my subdomain. Once the subdomain is completed, then I'm using the null resource. I'm logging to that cluster with the help of the private key and executing that update command, Java installation package, and necessity utilities package I'm installing. So once this utilities package installation command is completed, then I'm moving to that null resource. Using the null resource, I'm installing that Jenkins package. Once the package is completed, then I'm restarting that Jenkins master server. Then I'm moving to that my SSH key to that specific path actually, because using this SSH key only I'm authorizing that cluster actually. Then using the null resource, I'm installing the plugin. So you can see here the source and destination. Using the SSH shell script, I'm installing that plugin actually. We'll see one by one. So I'm open the get initial.password SSH file. So we are in the get initial password.sh file. This shell script I'm creating with the functioning console. So easy, you can easy to that segregate the section actually. So first function is the wait for the Jenkins. This particular function evaluating that whether 8080 port is listening or not. So once the port is listening, it will be moving to that next function. The next function is that updating the Jenkins master password. So basically here I'm updating the admin password. You can see here I'm providing the directory here. It be going to the directory. It be evaluating the whether the config.xml file is present or not. The file is present, it will be the allowed to execute that next stage. If a file is not there, it will break that the loop itself. So we can consider the file is present. Then we are moving to that second stage here. You can see here I'm mentioning the echo, using the echo for printing that admin config file creations. You can see here only I'm providing the admin password, but in the admin password is a encoding format. Using the Python or some other script, you can dynamically you can changing the admin password. In my case, I'm passing that encrypted value with the help of the cryptocalculator.com. Actually, I can show to you how I am generating this encrypted format. I'm moving back to my browser. So right now we are in that bcryptocalculator.com. So here I'm providing the input called password. If you provide the input, then you can click that calculate. It will be generated the password hash result. So you can see that the $2 is a mandatory. You have to ensure about the same value I'm passing to my file. This is I'm providing the variable here. So as I said earlier, I'm using the XML start let command only. I'm replacing that particular my existing admin password to that corresponding that config.xml file, just for that replacing that initial admin password in this particular line. Then once the updating that initial password, I'm restarting the Jenkins master server. I'm putting the wait condition because immediately if you are not putting the sleep condition, you immediately executing the next stage. So I'm just for 10 minutes I'm pausing that the execution process. Next we will be moving to the configuration Jenkins server. Initially I'm downloading that Jenkins CLI jar file. Later I'm setting that environment variable for password and that Jenkins directory and the plugin directory. Then I'm moving to the Jenkins directory. So here in my case I'm mentioning the list of plugin I defined here. So using the for loop condition, I'm passing that one by one plugin information. With the authentication mechanism, I provide that admin is a user, password is I'm calling from the variable. So in this case, the plugin will be installing that one by one. Once the plugin is installed successfully, then I'm restarting that Jenkins with the safer mode. So here, as we discussed, no, these are all things functioning stage. So I can call by function one by one. We'll be moved to that client Jenkins TF file. We are in that client Jenkins.tf file. This particular file dedicated for the slave machine. So initially I'm going to create the AWS instance along with that image, instant type, security group, key name. These are all similar for the Jenkins master. Then I'm moving to that data block. The data block for referring that value from that AWS system manager. Then I'm moving to that templating file creation. This templating file creation part, so I created the one shell script. From the shell script, I'm passing that some basic value. For example, you can see the thing, the variable x section. In my case, I'm creating that subdomain record. So I'm passing the Jenkins robofarming.link. Then I'm passing the Jenkins username, password, the device of the value, then the worker pem key. So this keys we are referring from the previous AWS SSM parameter. I'm referring from here. So we'll be moving to the Jenkins node.sh script. We are in the Jenkins node.sh file. Initially, couple of plugins I'm installing such that Java 11, OpenJDK, Git, wget. These are the plugins needed for the application. Then I'm moving to that functioning part. So first we'll be going to executing that slave underscore setup. Here I'm using the while loop condition. We'll be retrieving that jar file from that Jenkins master. It will be going to download from that Jenkins CLI jar and the slave.jar. Once the while loop condition is succeeded, then you'll be moving to the variable stage. So those variable I'm retrieved from the Terraform templating file. Already those value I passed from the variable. That value only here you'll be getting and appending to that corresponding that variable. Slave underscore IP I'm getting from the private IP address, but here you can see a thing, I'm the device underscore name I'm passing with Ethernet 0, so that the command is going to execute retrieving from that private IP address. It will be saving to that slave underscore IP. Then node name I'm assigning with the Jenkins slave Linux, that previous slave IP address I'm assigning it. The worker say home directory I'm storing with the home EC2 user, so here only all the plugin will be storing here. Then executor 2 I'm assigning and that SSH protocol for the assigning to 22. Then the credential ID I mentioned for the node name only. The labeling part I'm assigning Linux, user ID is the EC2 user. So from the master to that slave I'm logging with that EC2 hyphen user only. Then I'm moving to the OPT directory. This particular sections will be going to downloading the all the plugin from the Jenkins master. So once the plugin part will be completed, I'm moving to that creating that server credential. So here I'm those value I retrieving from that variable section. So once it will be generated that cert.xml file, I'm going to execute that Jenkins CLI command to create the Jenkins credentials. Then I'm deleting the existing name. If anything is the same name, I'm deleting that same node. Then using that node.xml file, I'm generating this particular argument manipulating is happening with the variable. So once that the file is generated, then I'm using that create node command, I'm creating that node. So this particular operation I'm executing from that slave node only. We are moving to the terminal. We are going to executing the entire Terraform. Right now I'm in the terminal. Already I cloned my code from my repo. Before executing the Terraform apply command, I have to ensure about whether SSH public key and private key existed under that .ssh directory or not. So using the ls command, tilde symbol .ssh directory, just time enter this command. Yeah, here you can see the thing, there is a private and public key be present. So I'm going to executing that Terraform apply command. So already I'm executing the Terraform init command to downloading the plugin. So already I did. So directly I'm going to executing the Terraform apply command. Terraform apply. So once enter, it be asking for that prompt for yes. So here that 10 resource going to add. So I'm providing the yes input. Enter. This process at max will be take more than 10 minutes. So meantime I'm going to pause this video. Yeah, we successfully completed the Terraform operations. So we are going to validate the browser whether the Jenkins slave properly integrating or not. So I'm moving back to that web browser. Right now I'm in the browser. I'm going to access my Jenkins application through my subdomain. Just enter that jenkins.robo.farming link. Yeah, it is asking the authentications. The username I provide that admin. So already I created that password is my password. So just I enter that password. So it asking that customized plugin installation. So already we are installing the plugin, so no need to choose any other option. Just I am closing that X mark. Just I click that start using the Jenkins. So yeah, we'll validate it with the node creation part. So I'm going to click that manage the Jenkins icon. So here I'm going to scroll down. So I'm clicking the manage Jenkins. The credential is created successfully according with that slave IP address. So I'm going back to the previous page. So I'm going to click that manage node and cloud option. And our node is successfully integrated. You can see that these are syncing. So finally we are completed our Terraform jobs. Bingo. So hopefully this video will be useful for everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.